And so many.
And we're live.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to what week is it, Jeffrey?
Week 7.
We love week 7 here, don't we?
Mhm.
All right. So, for those who are joining us, we're back live. It's been a hot minute. And we have all of us here tonight, which is wonderful. So, to the right of me, we have Mr. Jeffrey.
Hi, ¿cómo está?
Muy bien, ¿y tú?
This is Spanish Jeffrey.
Así.
This is the Spanish.
And we've been back with us live this week is Miss Kristen. Welcome.
Here. Hi. I'm here. A bit tired, but here.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Muy tired.
No, that's his
Muy tired.
name. Your name is very tired.
Yes, my name is very tired.
And tonight, below me is Brian.
Hello.
¿Cómo te gusta mi pinga?
Es
Brian,
muy grande. Es
way to bring the energy,
No
Brian.
speaking Española.
And last but not least, we have
Gary. No, Dana.
Wow, that was
Well, look
special.
at that. Now everybody is thrown off. Is it Gary? Is it Dana? Who can say?
Right.
well, welcome to our one listener. So we're up to 2.
Those.
Oh my God.
Hey,
We're fancy.
listeners.
Hey y'all, thanks for joining us. So we have an interesting topic that we're going to dive into in a minute, but I thought we haven't checked in a while. So let's check in. How's everybody doing? What's your emoji? How are we feeling today, everybody? Oh, well, let's start with Brian. Somebody gave us a yawn, but let's start with Brian. Brian, what's up?
That was not me, but I am a 6.
It was me.
I'm a 1 and a 6. I'm happy but tired.
You're a happy, sleepy guy.
Exactly.
All right. So what's behind the tired?
We just had a long weekend with we went to 2 different barbecues, Saturday and Sunday, and then we had a bunch of stuff to do today. So
yeah, I feel like that happens. Memorial Day weekend is always a challenge because there's the events, the family obligations, and then for those of us in upstate New York, it's like the first real weekend of summer, and the weather did cooperate. So we're trying to get our gardens in, get the yards cleaned up, everything. So
yeah, all that stuff exactly.
Feeling that, Dana.
Yeah.
How you feeling today?
I got a trifecta of 1, 6, and 11.
All right.
Pretty good mood. Tired because Central New York has conditioned me to exist outside of sunlight. And now that there is sunlight out, it actually takes a metabolic process for me to be outside in it. So when I was outside in the sun today, I'm exhausted just from that. I had to deal with sun, so I'm really tired. Aside from that, I'm an 11. 11, I'm putting that somewhere around I've reached a little mindset where I can see the absurdity in existence and laugh at it. So that's where that is. That's good fun.
That's a healthy outlook. Good. I like that. I like that a lot. Jeffrey, how you doing?
I'm all right. I think I'm kind of at a 9, a 1, a 2, a 10, an 11, a 5, a 3, a 6, an 8. All right.
At least there's no 4s.
That was this morning.
Oh.
Was there a 7?
Not yet.
Not for me. The kids.
Not for me.
I've had the kids were sick again. I'm like, son of a bitch. I took them into Walmart for the first time in two. Like, and they acted
That's what
like, you
happened.
know, yeah, the first time in years they've been into Walmart, and yeah, they all got sick again. So
I just love
Yay.
that you don't count sequentially.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
could've-
thank you.
Yeah, you
I'm-
could have gone in order, but instead you kept us guessing a little bit.
Mhm.
Like, where are
I'm
we
here
going
all
here?
week. I'm here all week.
Thank you, my love. And Kristen, welcome back. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm kind of like Jeffrey right now. I'm like a 6, an 8, a 9, an 11, a 1. I'm all of the emojis. Minus
You're up.
7, minus 4. You know, I'm all of them.
Well, all right then. We're experiencing the full range of emotions here this week.
Yeah.
I'm solidly hanging out at a 1. If there was an emoji for too much sun and burnt to a crisp, that would also be me. Word of
That could turn into
advice:
7.
don't have your children apply your sunscreen.
You look like a Pollock painting, don't you?
Oh, pretty much. Yeah. We were trying to discern if it was the pattern of my bathing suit or if it was misapplied sunscreen, but I really think it was a combination of all of those things. So there's vibrant red spots here and on my back, and yeah. It's going to be an interesting night of trying to figure out where the blankets and sheets belong.
Oh,
The hot, cold, too much sun, these rosy cheeks I have going on. This is all sunburn.
Sleep in the pool.
yeah.
You see, like my forearms got
Yeah.
a lot of sun. Again, can't really.
Sleep in the pool.
They're red.
Wait, let me see if I take my watch band.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
I have a farmer's tan going on. Hey.
Oh, sexy now.
Ooh.
We are no longer PG. Brian is taking it all off, baby.
Let's
Oh,
do
that was the
a-
wrong show.
Meanwhile, Kristen and I are looking like powder. Mine's just a
Right, I
light
was gonna
filter.
say-
Powder.
So pale.
Yeah.
We
So
should-
very pale. And lots of bags under my eyes.
We should do a themed episode where like we all just dress as like a character that seems unrelated and not explain it or address it for the entire show.
Just make it awkward.
Yeah. What the hell's going on? They're not even talking about it. This must
And
be
then
the regular thing.
The next week, have people try to guess what the hell happened.
Yeah.
It could be a thing.
Yeah, so the other thing I tried to do, because I know you all care deeply about this, but I tried to color my hair today.
Ooh.
And here's the funny thing about buying the cheap stuff from the store
Oh,
and doing
God,
it yourself.
Kelly.
No, I mean,
Oh,
it's all
okay.
right? It literally doesn't matter what shade of hair color I purchase and apply to this head. This is what it looks like. It doesn't matter. This is champagne blonde.
Maybe that's why I didn't say anything, because it just looks like your normal color.
Exactly. So it really doesn't matter. That's what I figured out. It doesn't matter which box I bring home. It's going to come out looking like this.
You
So,
could even send Andy to go buy a
Wow.
box for you.
I
I
know.
could recommend a box for you that will definitely change your color.
Is it bleach?
Yes.
I was gonna say.
You remember that one? You remember that one with the dude with the spiky hair? That time you stuck your head in the oven, and then I had to.
I was
do
like,
mine.
who, me?
We both
Oh.
looked like skunks. Oh yeah, because we were trying to
Yeah.
bleach our head. Yeah, that was.
you know what I
Brian-
really miss?
Yeah.
I miss
That was the thing back then.
I really miss sun in.
Oh, that was not a friend of mine. For a nickel or a dime. Mm,
Oh, it
Wait,
was
what?
Isn't
mine.
that just
I
like
loved it.
peroxide and lemon juice?
essentially.
That was before Pinterest, but yes, that's basically how to
Orange.
That was the Pinterest look. Yes.
I was orange.
Well, Andy was orange too, and his mom was really pissed because he decided to put sun in like right before his senior photos.
Yeah. Well, that's
Ah,
Joyce was always
Great.
like, "You're not dyeing your hair. You're not dyeing your hair." Oh yeah.
But I
Okay,
feel like
fine.
sun in was the way around that because
Yes, and and she was furious.
yeah, you
I
didn't
shaved
specifically
my
say.
eyebrows before my senior photo,
Well, why?
and I tried to shave them and they just kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And my senior, they're like this short.
Oh yeah, that was
Remember that?
yes.
Why?
Oh, I don't know if
I
you
don't-
can see it.
I don't know.
but-
I didn't know how to like get them waxed, and I just
You didn't know how
wanted
to
them
groom?
not really.
He
I
kind of
used-
had caterpillars.
I did, yeah. No, it grows together. It's one.
Oh, you-
It's one
Unibrow,
little
okay.
brow.
I gave,
Yeah, but caterpillars.
I gave
Yeah,
myself
it's
a
a
haircut.
this is one
today,
caterpillar.
and like I trimmed my eyebrows, but I used a guard that was like 1 too short than usual. So if you look at my eyebrows, they're like really they're pretty
I'm-
not they're
I
they're
don't-
little.
I didn't want to say nothing, but as soon as we got on camera, I was
Where-
going to ask
where
if
Dana's
something was
eyebrows
wrong
go?
with your eyebrows because
Yeah.
something looked off, but I didn't. I was.
I
like,
thought it
oh,
was
it's
the
just me.
lighting.
Yeah, so did I.
No, they're
Dana,
just
picture lighting, your eyebrows
Yeah.
disappeared.
give them a week, they'll fill back in. They'll be fine.
I got a pen you can borrow.
Oh
Yeah,
my
there we
god.
go. I'll
They
just
just look
Sharpie
like
them
light,
in.
like blonde.
Yeah,
hair.
I do it all. That Dana, look, the shit that I've done to my face, like my beard's never even. It's always like off a little bit,
So how do you adjust on camera? Do you just tilt your head so that we think it's like taking a
Nobody
landscape photo?
notices. You can't really, you know what I mean? You can't tell if it's off back here.
No, we
You
just
can't see
assume
it.
you're going like this
Just
or
like-
like that.
Look at, I've got right now. Are you kidding me? I've got a mullet going because I cut the sides. I took trimmers and went down on each side and left the back. So
Oh,
if you
nice.
look,
That's stylish right now.
the back is way longer than the sides because I didn't care about the back. I
You look
can't
like
see
you're
it.
about to do some Russian parkour with that haircut.
And I just had to trim it so that I could do the TikTok videos and not worry about it being poofy on the sides. But now I'm wearing a hat constantly because I can't stand the way it looks.
Because you
period.
know. I
Uh,
want to see Jeffrey in a man bun.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I can imagine
I
that
know.
pretty solid.
Yes.
You,
I,
Brian's
yeah.
kind of.
I can see Brian doing it, but
A
I
man
want to see
bun.
Jeff.
You never
Yeah.
had a man bun.
You have seen me with long hair. I've had
Yeah,
hair
long
down
hair.
past my chin.
A long time ago.
It wasn't that long ago. It was.
Oh, come on now.
I had Crystal was living
I
with
was like-
us.
No.
Crystal,
Your
yes,
hair was
yes.
not that long.
Your hair
No.
was
It's,
not
there
that
is a
long.
picture
No.
of me with a Mackenzie Child's Play. It was Halloween, and I had that horrible button-down shirt on the porch, and I look like a beached whale. And I'm on the front porch with a Mackenzie Child's platter and cupcakes on Halloween, and my hair is down to here. Yeah. Yes,
I'm gonna
kids.
have to see that. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't.
I
I
don't
don't
remember
know
that.
there.
Go look on Facebook. It's there.
I'm
Yeah, you're gonna have to repost that.
Yeah, because Liz, you remember Liz and Heather? Liz messaged,
Oh, yeah.
she's like, what the hell's going on with your hair? She's like, go get a haircut. You look like a fag.
We gotta. Well, all right.
She's
But
a dyke.
I mean,
She
Well,
can
in
say
that
that. It's
case,
okay.
no,
It's
thank you.
okay.
Wait, I thought it was Liz and Jamie.
Well, Jamie's dead, honey. She can't be a part of that no more.
I know, but who the fuck is Heather?
Her wife.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
This
they've
is-
been
this
together
just
for
got
like 20
awkward.
years.
I killed those brain cells. I'm
Hi,
sorry.
Jennifer.
Yeah, Jamie's been dead a long time.
Oh no, I know that.
Okay, I was just checking.
10 years. 10 years, I think. Right?
Longer than that.
we're
I think.
losing people there, Brian. We're losing people.
Rest in peace.
Hi, Jennifer.
I already did that, Jeffrey.
I know, but I clicked the thingy.
I don't know.
So-
I don't have a thing to click. I can just see them.
I have a.
You
thing
just
clicked.
push it.
I can't.
Push
Yeah,
it.
you can. Push
All
it.
right, so
Push it
hey,
right.
do we want to jump into our topic for the week?
Yes, let's talk about it.
All right, so we are going to dive into a fairly complicated topic. I mean, it's talked about a lot, but I think when you really dive into it, it's complicated. Forgiveness and everything that it entails. Because, gosh, looking back on it in preparation for tonight's show, I realized there's a lot more to it than just forgiveness. So, who do we want to start with? Jeffrey.
Oh, me.
So here, all right. So I'm gonna toss one at you here. Is forgiveness possible in every situation, or is there a line that somebody can cross where forgiveness is just not an option?
Well, I think the PC answer would be if you want to find peace within yourself, I think you have to kind of forgive every situation in order to move forward. I don't think it's easy. I think it's very difficult. But I think it's the only way to move on. But it's a work in progress that you have to kind of work forward, work on constantly, work towards. Yeah. It's a very sticky situation. You know, like there's things that are unforgivable, but if we don't forgive, how do we grow?
Well, a lot of people think too that like you don't have to forget, even though you forgive. You know what the person still did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and just because you forgive them, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change what they did. It doesn't change them being, you know, if you've decided to remove them from your life, it doesn't change, you know, if they've committed a crime. It doesn't change anything.
Well, and
a lot of times too, forgiveness is for you and not for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it really is. I mean, and I think that's the biggest part of it, is that recognizing forgiveness doesn't mean that you invite that person or their behavior into your life going forward. It just means that you're reconciling with the past and letting go rather than holding it on, right?
So hard to do.
It is so hard.
Oh yeah, so hard.
Kristen's making some faces, so I want to hear a little bit about what that expression means for you.
No, I mean, I agree that you can definitely, sorry, the dogs are doing yoga in front of me. I believe that you can definitely forgive. Forgetting is, I mean, I think you can, I mean, I think there's times that you can forget. And there's also times that I agree that the forgiveness is for yourself. I mean, I have been in this situation as of late with the picture I shared with you guys about a character of somebody that I was very good friends with who I'm in shock still over. That was the kind of person this individual was in the wake of everything going on in the world. That somebody is that tone deaf. And I think there's behaviors like that are just unforgivable because they will just never get it. They will just never get what they're doing wrong. So for me, it's better to just cut it out. Just cut that person out of
It's interesting that several people brought up forgetting, because I don't think forgetting is helpful. I think we need to learn from the past, you know, and recognize when behaviors are harmful or behavior towards us or how we interact with others can be toxic, actually, you know. And I think there's an important distinction between forgiving and forgetting. You can remember it so that you learn from it, right? But you can also let go.
Oh yeah.
Well, especially if you keep bringing the same kind of shit back into your life, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
if you're constantly removing the same kind of people out of your life, and in the need of constantly forgiving the same type of stuff, you know, you might want to look at yourself, because you're probably the problem, right? You're allowing the same kind of things to go on and the same kind of patterns to happen. So at that point, who's really responsible for what's going on in your world? Is it them because they're doing it to you, or is it you because you're allowing these people into your circle?
And you don't have healthy boundaries around that. And so the patterns repeat. So Dana, question for you. Is it easier to forgive others or yourself?
Shut up.
Okay. This is what happens when you know your friends too well and which questions to ask.
No, that's a hard thing, because we talked about that a little bit earlier, and for me, it's really kind of forgiveness is a really complicated topic for me, because especially for myself, like if I do something that disappoints me, and obviously, I mean, you have to forgive yourself for things because you have to move beyond it. But a lot of the things that I decide about, they're just, I say it to myself in my head, like I verbalize it, and I'm like, "Yep, all right, we'll process this. We're gonna realize the consequences. I'm gonna change my behavior or attempt to change my behavior so that this instance doesn't happen again." And it's done and over with. There's no reason to hold on to the guilt and shame about whatever the situation is, and then try to move on. So I can say all that, I can process it in a healthy way, but do I necessarily forgive myself? Like, do I internalize it? Do I feel forgiven? Do I feel okay with myself? And a lot of times the answer is no. Um, I can walk away from it feeling guilty and shame. I can be triggered by similar things, and even very nearly fall back into the negative behavior that I originally had to forgive myself for.
Self-sabotage, because it's
Yeah.
what we do as humans, right?
Yep. I mean, it takes practice. When you have a negative behavior or a habit, it takes practice to break it, and you have to be vigilant. So, one of the things that I have a problem with is I really am good at self-shaming and guilting myself.
Powerful.
Because it's the most effective way for me to change my behavior. If I feel ashamed of something I did and I feel guilty about something that I did, you can rest assured that I am hyper vigilant to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And it's in the forefront of my mind, and I feel really terrible. And by having that in my peripheral constantly and floating around in my head, it creates a boundary to prevent me from repeating that behavior.
So your motivation for yourself is guilt and shame.
Oh, yeah.
Now, to take it one step further, and this is kind of for everybody, can you forgive yourself if someone else can't?
That makes, yeah. Nope. I mean, I can say I do.
It depends.
But do I feel like I did? Probably not. I think it takes a really long, especially for me, like, time heals. Like, it takes me a long time to slowly let that feeling dissipate before it is at a manageable level. And by the time it's actually like in the past and it's more of a memory than it is like a constant rumination, by that time I've probably done 10 other things that compound my guilt and shame up front. So it's there's always.
Were you raised Catholic?
Wow, it's weird that you could pick up on that. Oh.
Well, no, no, seriously, because I was raised Catholic. It's literally
embedded.
the entire. It's how the whole cult is put together.
Yeah.
Like, it's based on shame and guilt.
It's not just Catholics; it's Italian cat. You know what I mean? The Italian.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh.
being,
Well, I wasn't
a
gonna
lot of
say
it's
that.
parenting too, and a lot of it's
Yeah.
just like your mental
Oh, yeah.
mechanisms. Like, I think a person that genuinely wants to be a good person and do right by people, and that and is motivated to make people around them happy, the most hurtful thing, I mean, the thing that they want to avoid more than anything else is feeling bad or feeling sad or feeling guilty or shame about something they did to hurt somebody else. And so for me, like, that's the most powerful motivator there is to change my behavior is guilt and shame. And
But
it's not
Yeah.
something I learned, I think, so much as it's something that is a coping mechanism or a survival mechanism that I've adopted to make my behavior as good as it can be for me.
So let's take that a step further, though, because we all can think of that person or those people in your life who you cross them once and they will never ever forgive. It's and it for me it's several things. One, it's difficult for me to watch somebody who doesn't have the capacity for forgiveness because I watch the pain and suffering that they create for themselves when they live in judgment of others and they feel that they're entitled to hold on to this hurt and anger that in the long run only hurts them. So I think it's hard not to seek the approval and acceptance of others, but how many people have you come across in life who just don't have the capacity for forgiveness? And when we tie our own happiness and our own self-worth to whether or not other people can accept us for who we are as humans and accept that we're going to screw up, we're going to make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
That can be a very difficult space to be stuck in, saying, well, I'm never going to be okay with myself if this person can't forgive me for how they perceive I did something, whether I did or didn't, right?
Mhm.
I've struggled with that a lot in my life, saying or feeling like I was horribly misunderstood with what my intentions were. My intentions I thought were good, but they weren't perceived that way by somebody else. And then they're holding on to this anger towards me or this pain towards me, and they can't let go of it. But what I do with that becomes very complicated, right? Do I cast them off and say that their feelings don't matter because that wasn't my intent? Or do I try to see where their hurt comes from and work through that? It's, do you keep coming back to trying to save the relationship, or is it just two people standing on opposite sides of a series of events or fact pattern, and neither person is willing to move and say, oh, maybe I didn't see it from your perspective, I didn't understand?
Well, I think that's kind of a loaded question.
Mhm.
I think you really have to know the relationship, the other person. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a simple answer.
No, it's not.
That's
No,
a
no.
very complex question that it really has to go by the dynamics of the relationship and where you're at, because I think there are times with certain people in your life that, the relationship is that important where shit happens, life happens. And
Well, sometimes
maybe,
people show you who they are too.
yeah, but maybe there's something that just doesn't go over well, and you kind of just have to let it go and maybe not get over it. If the person means that much to you, there's some things that you're just not going to agree on, and you either have to be okay with it and accept them for who they are, or you get rid of them. I mean, that's
If someone's not going to forgive you, you just have to give them their space. I mean, you can't force somebody to forgive you. And think about how simple life must be for someone where everything's so black and white and yes and no that they can just say, well, this action is unforgivable and you are gone now. Poof.
That's
You know?
that's my brother and my sister-in-law. I haven't talked to them in 10 years. They moved into our house after our house burned down.
Oh yeah.
To help me with Craig, and ended up doing a lot of damage to the house. And my sister-in-law and my niece left in the middle of the night one day, and my brother stuck it out with the three boys and my youngest niece to finish out the school year for the boys. And they left, and I have talked to them twice since that happened. I mean, my brother almost. Sorry about the dogs.
They have opinions about this topic too. They're triggered.
Yeah.
They do. My brother coded on an operating table 4 times, and we weren't really told about it. I was not told about it. My sister-in-law and my nieces broke their necks in a car accident. My sister-in-law was thrown from a vehicle and trapped underneath the vehicle. We weren't really told about it. They didn't talk to my parents, and it all kind of stems from all of these actions that they took. And my brother and my sister-in-law's way of doing things is all or nothing, and it is literally all or nothing. And these things happened. A bunch of events happened where family inheritance was involved and money was involved. They stopped talking to my parents. They started talking to my parents again, but I am still like a cancer to them. They refuse to talk to me or Craig.
Well, you brought up another interesting question that I hadn't previously considered, which is that does the pending death or mortality of someone change the dynamics in relationships as well?
I'm sorry, my computer froze. What was that?
So does somebody's longevity or their, so you find out someone has a, short time to live. Are you more, I know where Jeffrey's going with this, but
Mm-mm.
oftentimes you see reconciliations happen or an attempt to bring people together when you find out that, a relative or a friend or somebody that was close to you long
No.
ago it death often brings about reconsideration and reconciliation.
Yeah, but look at Craig. Craig has ALS. I mean, ALS. Every study still says 3 to 5 years is the longevity of somebody with ALS. And Craig it'll be 14 years in October that he's had ALS, and he has been trach vented for 10. He's been quadriplegic for 12. It's not been an easy life, and no, I mean, and I frankly could not tell you the reasons why my brother and my sister-in-law will not talk to us. I could at this point in my life, I have Craig, and I could care less. I mean, if they don't want to talk to me, that's their decision, and it is what it is. I know I never did anything to them. If they feel unjustly that I did something to them by siding with my parents on a situation, okay, then that's their feeling. But I'm not going. It is what it. I mean, I hate to saying it is what it is, but it literally is what it is. I mean, I can't change the fact of the matter about what was the facts of the situation were, and there were facts to the situation, and they didn't like it because a lot of things have always kind of gone their way, and this particular item did not go their way. And I have not. And when things come very easy to some people, regardless of how many times they've effed up in the past, and one thing doesn't go their way, they'll blame everybody else but themselves.
No,
So-
and I think responsibility is a key component of forgiveness, right?
Oh yeah, and I really forgive everybody. I try not to hold grudges. I try not to. I take my life lessons as they come to me because I'm grateful for the time I do have for Craig, and it just taught me a lot of lessons in life. That life is way too freaking short to like hold on to these things. I mean, if I really was trying to hold on to things, I mean, Craig's mother was awful. She was awful to him. She was awful to us. And she passed, and Craig had no feeling about it. I mean, he literally said the Wicked Witch is dead. It's like when she passed. I mean, which is to me horrible. To him, how he felt.
Right.
So it's like, did he ever forgive her? I think at that point he was like, F it, which is that forgiving? Some people, yeah.
I think that's a form of forgiveness.
Yeah.
To just say I'm done with it.
Yeah, just say it.
Well, if you're no longer giving
Energy.
energy and allowing yourself to be consumed in pain by someone else's actions, that is a form of forgiveness for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Brian, how does forgiveness show up in your life? And what does that look like for you?
Usually it's me asking for forgiveness.
I'm sorry.
Whether or
I got
not
a big
you-
ass
It's
mouth.
okay.
Whether you
Usually
did
the mouth
something or
flaps
not,
away.
or is it just because
Oh no, I always
are
do
you-
something.
are you conflict avoidant, or are you just trying
Oh,
to
no.
clean up the mess?
No, I'm the opposite. I'm conflict looking for it.
You're walking around with the kerosene in one hand and the torch in the other.
Oh, I've
Yeah,
got some
I'm
conflict
trying to be
avoidance.
a new person.
He's
Is
got
that
the
conflict
pitchfork.
avoidant?
That doesn't look like a pitchfork, Jeffrey. Let's not make
I
a
was
meme
like,
out of what you were
Jesus.
just doing.
I thought you were doing one of Donald Trump's dances.
No, well, that didn't look like it looked different.
Listen, you filthy pig.
All right.
Okay.
Another nuance on forgiveness. Is it harder for you to forgive someone that has hurt someone you love?
Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it just
Yeah.
so
I'm a good ball.
happens there's been this bitch around, okay, that just has done some people in my life wrong. And I just can't get past it because to me, it's like it's the mortal sin, right? It's accusing innocent people of things that they didn't do. And for me, like I have this just like this thing, right? The Libra in me is I need balance.
You and I are Libras. We
right.
are
I need
balanced
those things.
scales of justice.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, and two, the thing is my whole life I've always felt like I needed to prove myself, right? That was one of my mom's specialty was you don't deal in reality, because she didn't want anybody to rock the boat and everything had to be pretend perfect and things. So to see somebody go and do those things, that sets me into the stratosphere. So those kind of things like certain people in politics or whatever, that you see that they're lying, know that they're lying, but they're getting away with it, that stuff eats away at my core.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time with any of that. And I have a hard time being quiet about it.
That's an interesting line to draw because you could have somebody that does a really shitty thing to a person, and it might be somebody that's special to you and somebody that like you care about, and it hurt that person really bad, like whether it be financially or emotionally, whatever, physically. But that's a consequence where it only affected one person. It just happened to be that one person you cared about. But then you look at like the broader spectrum of these like giant influential figureheads, like people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and like these people that are making decisions in the public's eye, and it's involving billions and billions of dollars spread across corporations after corporations. Like, look at the suffering that happens in like Amazon's warehouses, people on public assistance, like just to be able to
Well, wait,
live.
we got one that just happened this weekend. I mean, it's not really political, but look at the new what the hell is that movie? Top Gun. Okay,
Yeah.
Top Gun 2 just came
Okay.
out. $153 million this weekend,
Uh-huh.
and everybody's just conveniently forgetting this dude is into Scientology. Now we know what it is.
Yeah.
We know what it's for. He
Uh-huh.
abandoned his daughter,
Yep.
converted his other children away from Nicole Kidman,
Sure.
and everybody's okay with it, and they're going to go support him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
just going to pretend
Yeah.
that all this garbage about Scientology is not out into the world and that we don't know no better. And we're just, because it's Tom Cruise, it's okay.
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's how it's
Not
framed.
me. I'm gonna pirate it.
Here you've got people like, but like you've got people that are responsible for the suffering of hundreds and thousands of people, like around the country, around the globe. Look at like Putin, like the stuff that he's done is horrible. I mean, but how is it that like it seems to on an individual basis for me, it would be much harder for me to forgive that person that hurt somebody I cared about than it would be to forgive the person that hurt all these people that I don't know. It's interesting. Like when you take that personal perspective on it, like if it were somebody that I knew personally, I would be a lot more passionate about it. But because I'm disassociated from it,
right,
it seems almost easier. So there's this I don't know really what the point is of that perspective that I was trying to bring up, but I just kind of wanted to highlight that kind of interesting like double-edged sword of forgiveness too. Like,
well, even like if it's somebody that does something to me directly, like I'm less pissed off than it is if it's somebody else. But at the same time, like, so if it's somebody in like a relationship dynamic and I'm equally friends with both of them, like I don't get in the middle of shit. You know what I mean? Like that's your bag of shit. I'm not picking sides. And I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't think you should get in the middle of it. But when somebody does something that I feel like crosses all kinds of boundaries or lines, like there's no coming back from certain things with me.
Yeah.
And once you cross that line, especially I think in the last like 5 years, 6 years of all the shit that I've been through, like there's no coming back. And I'm just like, oh no, we're not doing this. And I don't know if it's even about forgiveness, if it's about acknowledgement, it's about whatever, but it's like, you are not
ethics,
going to
morals. I mean,
hurt
yeah.
the people I care about and get away with this shit. Like, I'm not going to watch that go on.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
I'll
not-
come for you.
I'm that way with Craig and the people that I love. Like I will see black. And the advocacy part of me, like you were saying, Dana, wants to be able to do so much more for the groups of people that I have seen hurt by things. But I think, there's only so much individually that we are able to do as individuals, when it comes to gun reform or LGBTQIA rights or abortion rights. I mean, it's so many things that are affecting us directly.
I mean, there is things we could all do, right? If everybody in the world stopped going to work tomorrow and said, we're all going on strike. Nobody's doing anything until you all do something tomorrow. If no teacher went to school tomorrow in New York State, across the entire state tomorrow, nobody sent their kids to school tomorrow, that would send a very clear message, right? If we all stopped going and do, like, we all could, but nobody does. Because I'm just one person. What can I do?
The first thing that people can do is vote. The very first thing people can do is go out and vote. But
you could vote, but who are we voting for? That bag or shit sandwich?
I know.
Well, no,
I
yes,
Yeah,
no, and
seriously.
it's true. I mean, what's unfortunate is that we have these, unless you're willing to get your hands dirty with things. I mean, we have, when it comes to women's rights, we've got 13 states that have trigger laws that as soon as the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, instantly abortions are illegal. We have states like Texas or Pennsylvania. Texas, where an 18-year-old can go buy a handgun and 13 rounds of ammunition, and the next day have a school shooting, or a kid in upstate New York can cross the line over to Pennsylvania and buy an illegal portion to his gun to make it a bump stock. I mean, we have these things happening that, those are the kind of things that I carry with me. That, I mean, I know a lot of people would be like, why do you carry those things with you? Why would those things to you be unforgivable? But I think those are a lot of the things to me that are unforgivable. I posted something on my Instagram.
Let me ask you a question. Is it possible to forgive the person who committed the crime? Is it easier to forgive the person who committed the crime than it is to forgive the electors, the politicians, the policymakers,
I think
those who are not paying, those who have created the environment to allow these things to happen? Where mental health, I think, is a huge. That's the biggest concern of all, right? That's not being addressed up and down every issue, right?
Well, and if you say mental health, though, then you have the other side attacking you because they're saying, "Oh, you can't say mental health because it's not about mental health; it's about guns."
Yeah,
but it's both.
Well, every single person that's ever committed a violent act is somebody in a mental health crisis. Like,
right.
But you can't say that.
But
you can't say that because if you say that, then it's not about. Because we have to say it's about the guns. If we don't say it's about guns, everybody on the left side gets very, very angry.
I'm not talking about just guns. I know, but I'm not talking about just guns. I'm talking about any, like, whether you stab the shit out of somebody or any type of violent act that you're doing.
I agree.
You're having some type of break with
totally
reality.
Went in the wrong direction.
No, Jeffrey, you're right though. But that's, I mean,
it's just very frustrating for me because
the polarizing.
Yes, it's very.
I don't think you necessarily have an illness.
It makes me hate Democrats because it's like you're doing exactly what they're doing, but on the opposite side of this. Like, you're attacking me because you think that I think like them, just because I said something about mental health. No, I'm not using mental health as a scapegoat. Because I'm talking about mental health, you think I'm taking something away from the gun conversation. Like
Yeah.
Right.
it's about
They're
both.
not mutually
But-
exclusive.
but
it's about
for
both.
me-
Right.
For me, like you can take away the guns, but then they're gonna go ram a car into a crowd of people.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
they're gonna go online and learn how to build something that's gonna explode.
at
They're
the
gonna
root of
do
that,
something
Which is why
else.
at the root of it, you need to address
Yeah.
mental health.
So if
right.
we don't take care of mental health, we're still going to have a problem in this country.
Well,
So
you've
you
got-
can cry all you want about guns, because I don't see you. And 54% of all gun or deaths in this country is actually suicides. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
54%. So more people die from suicide by guns in this country than any other way. It's suicides.
I just think the gun thing has been going on for so long. We did ban assault rifles back in
In the 90s, 94. Yeah.
94 to 2004. That's when
Just get
Columbine
rid of them.
happened.
Get rid of them.
It slows it down, but where there's a will, there's a way, and that's the issue.
yeah,
Right,
I mean,
If somebody
you've got-
has that will to do that,
I
they're
mean,
going to
you get
find a
back-
way to do it.
You get back to like the term of forgiveness. Here you have people that they're a black and white person. They can say, "Well, this, I cannot forgive these people. I am passionate about ending them and making an example, and this is how I'm going to do it." They can't forgive, and I almost find it easier to forgive those people because they're obviously misled. They have mental health
They're broken.
problems.
They're broken.
Yeah, they're misled and they're
Yeah.
passionate. They feel helpless. They feel like that's the only thing they can do to make things better or make a difference is to do that thing. And that's sad. Like I can
That's a
forgive
horrible
somebody
place
who's
to arrive at,
sad
yeah.
like that. But then now let's go the other end of the spectrum. The people that make useless gun legislation. And
Mhm.
I'll use the example like from New York State, like the SAFE Act. Like what it did was it changed the amount of bullets that a magazine could have in it from 10 to 7. So you have to buy like an extra magazine instead of just
Woohoo.
having one less. So that did nothing. And then they limit the amount of cosmetic parts that you can put on a rifle. Those do nothing for safety. That is nothing.
Right.
So the problem I have with forgiving the people in the government is that they can completely vote for something, understanding that it will make no difference, whatsoever.
But they're
And
doing
They
it
want
to
a pat on the
placate.
back.
They're
They want a pat
placating
on
a
the
certain
back.
audience to say that
They're-
they've
And
taken.
that's
Yeah.
literally what it is. You've got these people that they're ambivalent. They just don't care. They're doing whatever will maintain their popular opinion, and that's what it's about. You have somebody who has a chance to make a law about something that could meaningfully change the way.
Instead, we're moving
people-
grains of salt from
Yeah.
one side to the
Right.
other.
Right. Yeah, they could make a meaningful change in like how gun permits are handed out, or how mental health is part of a background check, or
Mhm.
like how like if you have a handgun permit or a gun license to begin with, like renewing it, demonstrating that you're safe with it,
And
demonstrating
it's
a
harder
certain
to get
level
a
of
driver's
responsibility.
license than it is
It
to get
really
a
is.
gun.
Right.
Here's the thing: in Texas, it is illegal as any human being in Texas. In Texas, it is illegal if you have more than 6 sex toys than it is to have a gun at 18.
Huh.
I mean, that's how screwed up their laws are in Texas.
Well,
And
Well,
you would
Texas-
be,
not in Texas.
Texas, yeah.
but I'm just saying. I mean that. This is what we're talking. This is.
So,
But this
it's
is-
more
but-
difficult for me to forgive the police officers.
But this
That-
is the whole argument, right? Is
That's-
that they're like you the sex toys, right? So they're saying we're taking away
we're
women's
moralizing
rights.
it, yeah.
We're taking away women's right, but you can't take our guns. We don't want to wear masks because you can't take away our rights, but we're going to control a woman's body. And oh, by the way, you cannot get your trans child therapy.
Yeah.
What I also how come the
But we
police
can't.
don't-
We can't. You can't take our rights. You can't take our rights away. But we're going to
How
take
come
away
the-
your rights
Yeah.
because you're not
How
a
come
white male. That's-
Well, how come-
Exactly.
How come police don't have like high-powered rifles like AK-47s, M16s, AR-15s?
But here's the thing: that
They do.
that
Because
police department last
SWAT
year, April 21 of last year, they got a $23 million grant to completely armor themselves in level 4 armor.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And SWAT team. They were full. That whole police department had the ability to be in level 4 armor to storm that school and stop that child.
Yeah.
Because he's a child. I mean, he was 18 years old. He's a child. And didn't. And I'm sorry if you took a choice. And I'm looking at my husband's dad's police officer hat. My husband's dad was a police officer. I'm looking at his hat right now. You took an oath to protect and serve. That was the oath that you took. An AK and I don't want to put this visual in people's head, but the exit wound of an AK-47 is the size of an orange, and those babies were under 10 years old.
They had to do DNA swabs because they couldn't even you couldn't tell. There was no way to recognize what child it was.
Did you know some of the families are actually considering having open casket funerals and allowing the media in because they want to do.
They could do.
Well, it's what Emmett Till's mom did.
Yeah,
decades ago, and it made a huge impact on the civil rights movement. And I don't want to see that, but I think them doing that is one of the bravest things they can do, and it's one of the things that will actually shock people into going, "Wow." Because I think you're right, Chris, and I don't think people know what a gun does to people.
No, and I'm sorry, and I agree with what Beto did. I mean, people called Beto a coward to go in there and during, the press conference and say anything and call out.
Abbott came back afterwards and changed his tune, but he's telling two different stories depending on who he's in front of. And Christian, I don't know. I think you're giving those police, such a hard time now. Girl, they did go in. They went in and saved their own children.
Yeah, an hour later.
Well, and then there again comes in terms of forgiveness. Like, what are the intentions? What are the intentions? Like, a police officer, that's their job. Like, can you imagine going into your job where you might die? Like, you're going to be scared. You're going to stand out there and be like, "Well, can we do anything else other than go in and die?"
But it's also a job you chose to do.
It is.
Yeah, it is. But
sometimes it's out of desperation too. Like, maybe that's what you had to do because that's what was available to you.
It's also one of the most traumatic, difficult. I mean, any job in law enforcement is unimaginably. You're continuously you're 24/7 subjected to the worst traumas and the worst horrors that most people.
Oh, but Kelly, they get lots of therapy to help them regulate a healthy mindset.
No, they don't.
I know.
Also, I mean, it's a terrible situation. I mean,
I hear what you're saying, but I also have an issue with that because I also know a lot of police officers that were sitting there bitching and griping that nurses were saying how difficult COVID was for them.
Right, so it's an empathy issue.
Because I'm sorry. I mean, nurses did not become nurses to watch people die. Nurses became nurses to save people.
Well, and so did police, and I think that's where I have an issue with judging people. I would most of the police officers and the people that I've known in law enforcement have done it. They started out with the right reasons, but it's a broken system, just like healthcare. So in my mind, I can't not have empathy for one profession and not the other. The problem is that we can't see each other for who we are and what our challenges are because the whole system is broken. And mental health is at the center of all of it, whether it be burnout for it's burnout for physicians, for caretakers, for law enforcement, so many professions have.
I think about having an illness. It's about having an issue with mental health.
On Kristen's point, though, I think the hardest pill to swallow in that, though, was the fact that they were actively stopping other parents. That if you're too afraid to go in, right? Because these kids were Aiden's age. It would have been Aiden's class. If you think for one fucking second that you would have stopped me from going in there to get my fucking kids, bitch, you better catch me with a bullet.
Well, I just
right?
want to.
Because
I'm just going to
my
play
fat
devil's
ass
at.
is plowing through you. Because I'm going to catch the bullet, right? I'm going through a window. I'm doing whatever I got to do. I'm getting to my fucking kids. Your little pussy ass can sit out here, but I'm going to go get to my kids.
I just
Like,
want to play
I'm
devil's
not-
advocate for a second. Like,
Go ahead, Brian.
what if a cop did allow a person who was armed to go in and get their kid, and they go in there to get their kid, and the shooter shoots them in the head and kills them?
Yeah.
Do you think that their
That's-
family's not going to sue? Wait a second. Do you think the family's not going to sue the shit out of the police department? Of course they are.
The families are going to sue the shit out of the police department anyway because the
But
sheriff,
they'll win that.
the sheriff
They'll win
went on
that.
there and
If
saying they made a mistake.
If a
Whoa.
cop lets somebody across the
You know
crime
there's
barrier,
reports
they're-
going around that it was actually a parent that took the shooter out, right? Allegedly. But that
Probably,
is a
it's
report
Texas.
going around.
I'm
that
surprised they waited
parent
for
was
the
the
police
one
to
that
get
took-
there.
Right.
Listen,
It-
the police are an integral part of our society, and I get that, and I respect our police forces. I also believe that we need to defund some of our police
Forgiveness.
we need to defund some of our police departments and reallocate where that money goes. I mean, you have that case in Rochester where the man was completely naked and suffering from a mental health breakdown, and they shot him dead. And he was completely naked. He didn't have anything in his hands. He was suffering.
Was he white?
No.
No, of course.
Weird.
Shockingly.
Here, I thought
I
I found a way out, but
No.
I don't.
I mean, and I respect, I do. I respect our police forces. I respect the men and women that choose to put the uniform on. It is not a job that I would ever have chose to do or would choose to do.
Mm-mm.
I believe, though, that the money needs to be allocated where, I mean, you've got New York City, who gets how many $billion a year?
Can I just paint a little picture of what a little rosy scenario in my head would be? Imagine this. Imagine if police officers got paid 50% more than they make right now to do a humane job, and they only had to work 20 hours a week. The other 20 hours a week, they had to work in a different way on their mental health. They had to go to therapy. They had to do team building exercises. They had to refresh themselves on the laws that they have to enforce. And they had more people to support them in the community instead of SWAT trucks and armored vehicles and all this other mindless nonsense that these small towns don't need. Like,
So some
Imagine
communities
that.
have done that. When I was working for Access CNY as a mental health counselor, they had a program with the Syracuse police and the police departments that surround like Liverpool, Cicero, all these places. They basically asked the families that we served if they would be interested in meeting the police that you would be responding to their house if there was ever an incident. And of course they said yes, and the police wanted to meet them. And so the police went and met all these people and sat with these kids who have autism or schizophrenia or whatever and got to meet them. And they had a couple incidents where the person had a mental health break and the police already knew the person.
Yep.
And were able to
And
like,
that's community policing. And that's community
And that's
policing.
what needs to
That
happen.
is what should happen.
yeah, exactly.
Community policing is what should be happening.
I agree.
Yeah.
But that was a great
Because-
program they did.
and that was the thing. Like, if you went back like 75 years ago, your local police guy, everybody knew him. Like, he walked around town or drove around town, you knew who he was. Be like, oh, it's Officer Johnny. Hey, like, he knew everybody. Like,
Well, and another
That's-
part of that program was like a lot of our trainings that were done by the state. The police would come and sit in on the training so they could understand a little bit more about the actual mental health aspect of it. So,
Yeah.
because in their defense, sometimes somebody who's having a mental health break looks just like somebody who's on PCP, or looks
But-
just like
Yeah.
somebody.
Well, but-
If you're not trained, you don't know the difference.
Right.
so here's the problem, though, is there's not a corporation that manufactures therapists and yoga instructors and diversity training.
Dana,
Oh, actually, there
Dana,
it is.
we happen to have a friend whose aunt owns, or her sister owns a company who I bought the house from called Verbal Judo that teaches police just that thing.
But their name is
Really?
Halliburton, and they don't mass produce weaponry, and they don't have people that are influencing legislators.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, it's an
Yeah,
imbalance
that's
in priorities for sure.
Yeah.
Lobbyists. Yeah.
It's the lobbyists and where the money is coming from, and I mean, it's unfortunate, and I mean, I can only pray that what has been happening the last few weeks can change something in the United States.
Something constructive.
Something constructive. It's because we are in a mental health crisis. I don't care your color. We are in a mental health crisis. We need to make sure that mental health is a priority for everyone. Stop the stigma of mental health being only for, the rich white
Damaged.
lady
Yeah.
or the damaged whoever. We need to take care of our soldiers when they come home. I mean, we had to shut down streets by our university here because, a soldier had come home and he went by the local military, recruiting office and laid down all his weapons. I mean, and those are things that they're not forgetting. Those are things that they've gone through that they will never forget.
Yeah.
I'm speaking of forgiveness and forgetting. I mean, there are people in this world that have seen things that most of us will never, ever, ever see, and they will never, ever forget it.
Mm-mm.
And we need to help those people. And, I don't want to sound like some, Susie homemaker that can fix everybody and do all this other stuff, because I know I certainly am not the one that can do that. But my support is there, and my DMs are always open for anybody who needs anything. And, I think it's a very important that we let people know that getting mental help does not make you weak. It is, whether you are a man or a woman, it does not make you, it does, speaking to somebody does not make you weak or broken.
Or asking for help. And I think as we kind of round out the hour here, I think the other side of forgiveness, and in light of everything going on right now, is we need far more empathy in the world. And I think Jeffrey's making a face at me.
I'm just thinking, like, not when it comes to my mother, bitch. That's all.
No, but you've dealt with that, and you have had empathy around that. You have. So I
Yes,
think
I sent her a very nice urn.
it'll come in handy at some point.
Hopefully soon. Hurry
It
up,
will.
bitch.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up our another week 7 here with how we ended up this way. Thank you guys for indulging the topic. I think it went in a lot of unexpected directions, and I appreciate the conversation. I hope you all did too.
Don't we always go in unexpected directions?
It's kind of our thing.
You tried to keep us on
Maybe
track.
that should be the title of the show: Unexpected Directions.
You try and keep
How
us
we
on
ended
track.
up this way.
Consistently a little bit to the left.
And on that note, bye.
Bye.